products, looking at developing products, marketing better products, understanding and communicating what your products is, the data shows that a lot of companies are actually looking at it in terms of the sustainability leaders. Okay, next one. And the areas where they're actually taking initiatives and programs are in terms of energy. I mean, it's a key driver. What was the price of oil per barrel now? What's the price of oil per barrel? 180? 180? Over 100 US dollars? How long is our subsidy going to last? Until the next elections. That's what everybody says. That's a loaded question. Because if the subsidies are taken, the full 30 to 40 cents per litre extra will be passed on to us, the consumer. What is the impact on your business if you do not look at managing your costs now? Can you afford to absorb? Where can you look for opportunities to reduce? What are the opportunities for you to reduce? And the problem is, for a lot of corporations, if you talk to your other managers within your departments, they'll tell you, never mind, I got it well under control. But you see, if you do it on a department by department basis, who is actually looking at it as a company holistic basis? And that's where the key weakness in companies are. Now, we do not take a holistic view in terms of managing these issues as a corporate entity looking down at your subsidiaries. Right, next one. So these are some information. Yeah, I think the slides are going to be put up, correct? So you can look at that. This is a study that was done in 2011. Next one. Next one. Next one. Next one. Right, by Low and Young, right, which actually looked at the sustainability efforts in companies. So my take on what is happening in Malaysia, we have a serious lack of understanding of how sustainability can work for you. We have a serious lack of qualitative data. We still like to waffle a lot. Right? Some companies are able to provide data in terms of HR requirements and environmental requirements if they manage and monitor. When it comes to financial reporting, it's still very much related to the financials from your auditors. So you deal with your annual report, your audited reports, right? Your audited financial reports. But there are key weaknesses because we still cannot answer the question of, as Jeffrey says, how much have you invested in the community, right? What is your investment per employee? Those sort of questions, are they important to you? If you do employee volunteer program, how much does it cost your company? Each of your employee, you pay a salary, correct? And if you say they are supposed to volunteer 8 hours per month, how much has it cost you over X number of years? This cost is a cost. Have you recognized this as a cost? And what is the payback that you received for this cost that you've expended for giving tuition? Let's say, for example, for going to plant a tree. Let's say, for example, for going to go gotong royong and clean a drain. Let's say, for example. Why do you do such things? Right? What is your commercial return? Is there a commercial return? Or are you doing it because you look good? Social wash. Right? Next. Okay, so what's happening now? We find that, this is basically a recap. Employee management is still very important. We still operate in some ways in the dark ages. We are still in corporate Malaysia struggling to understand what Gen Y is and what the requirements of Gen Y. Right? Companies, studies have shown, I've tried to give you the latest studies, have shown that if you get it right, they actually are very productive for you. And they're actually very good for your shares. If you get it right. Okay? Next one. We have companies who need to negotiate through the political quagmire for anywhere in the world. All companies, big or small, or rather the bigger the company, the bigger the political quagmire. So you need to pick and choose how you want to do it and how you want to manage it, and be very open about it. Right? Collaboration. What we're finding now is companies are beginning to work with each other to collaborate on projects. Actually, this is not a new thing in the US. Ford and various other companies have worked together to collaborate in terms of community projects to bring up the urban youth and programs. And what we find is that the market in terms of sustainability shoppers are actually driving the market. In P International, we actually work with Tesco to develop a program to evaluate the products that are being carried within Tesco shops. Right? What is the environmental footprint? Do you meet our, meaning Tesco's criteria, or do you not meet our criteria? What do I do about it? Now that is taking supply chain management right down to the source. Right? So, and in some ways, some companies here in Malaysia are doing it right and have worked out some programs, but maybe primarily at the tier 1 suppliers. We have not had a company that actually looked in terms of the whole gamut of the supply chain. Actually, just to give you an example, one company which has done very well in supply chain management is Sony Malaysia. From what I understand, they are now down to their tier 6, tier 7 supply chain. You can actually find data of that on their website. Okay? Social media, right? Social media is very important. All our kids are now brought up on Facebook. They love their Facebook. They can't live without their Facebook. But in Facebook, things go viral very fast. So your reputation can suffer extreme shock if you don't understand social media. The next one is Twitter. I don't have Twitter. I don't understand Twitter. I admit. So these are things that companies need to face up to. And human rights management. The Ruggie report actually gives you methodology on how to do human rights evaluation and what your human rights risks are. Right? You can do the evaluation for the company, but in terms of developing programs to manage, there will be severe resistance within the organization. Next one. Okay, resource conservation, don't need to talk very much. Our population now, how many? 6 billion. 7 billion. Next year, 8 billion. Got enough space to stand or not? You know, what are we doing? Well, how are we being conserved? How are we going to be more efficient? So this is just an idea of some of the guidelines that we have that is out there. The most common one that's used is the GRI, as Jeffrey says. It's got about 130 indicators. But then again, next one. We've also this thing called ESG. ESG, environment, social and governance, social and governance guidance actually, not guidance, requirements, has been developed by the investment community, socially responsible investment community, to rank companies. To rank companies how? To rank companies on how they perform in terms of non-financial indicators. It's got 1,300, generally about 1,300 KPIs, and they're very, very detailed. And for your information, besides Malaysia is developing an ESG ranking system. When is it going to come out? They say end of this year, they say early next year. I don't know, but it is coming. So the question is, do we need more guidelines? Or do we manage with the one that we have? We don't like GRI G4, but is it a fact of life that we have to accept GRI G4 because ESG is coming? The GRI G4, it actually, if I review it, actually mirrors in some way the requirements of ESG, right? So these are things that are happening. Then we've got the Securities Commission is working with ADB in terms of developing a corporate governance scorecard, which is supposedly going to come out by 2015. So what does that mean for Malaysian business? If we listen to the earlier speakers, that we're going to have problems implementing the corporate governance guidelines developed by SC. How are we going to rank in terms of international or ASEAN SC? Corporate governance requirements. What are we going to do? What do we need to do? Right? Next. So this is a study that was done by Social Responsibility last year. And these are some of the, I call it gripes by corporations. Right? They say there's too many indicators. They say that government needs to incentivize. But if you go to Busan side, actually, I went this morning, there are actually incentives available to corporations as well to implement sustainability programs. But a lot of it comes in terms of technology, I think, right? Next one. So these are some information that is available in my slides. Next one. Oh yeah, sorry, go back. We actually have a serious problem in Malaysia in the sense that, in the sense of managing native rights, right? And this primarily comes from companies who are in the plantation sector, not just Sabah Sarawak. Malaysia Peninsula also got orang asli problems, okay? And when you buy and sell land, if you're a property developer, if you're a contractor, is your land native land? Nobody asks that question. What is the risk? And consider this, over the last 5 years, the cases have been going against the proponents, the project proponents. The orang aslis have been winning. What does that mean for your business? Okay, next one. I know you're standing up and you wanted me to go quick. So the current debate is, do we stick with the current guidelines in terms of voluntary reporting, or do we go mandatory reporting? If Bursa comes out with the ESG, it's going to go mandatory reporting. If mandatory reporting is coming up with the Bursa ESG, are Malaysian companies in any position to be able to report that? I would say very few. Okay? And we are also seeing a convergence of guidelines where the G4 is actually looking very much like the ESG. Okay, so whether you like it or not, it's happening. Okay, now go back please. One more, that's it. And the issue of integrated reporting. Right, I agree with you in terms of putting an annual report and sustainability report together is not what we call an integrated report. But the understanding here in Malaysia is that we're still very fundamental. Okay, so the writing is on the wall, people. There are things that are happening out there. In fact, the Korean ESG was released maybe 2 years ago, right? And it's been very successful. 5 years ago, Korea was behind us in terms of CSR. They've overtaken us. Can we afford that? Where is our competitive advantage? What is our business advantage? Okay, right? Next one. So in terms of developing new guidelines, I say we stick with the existing international guidelines because we need to compare apples with apples, oranges with oranges, right? And we need to be there playing with the big boys. We need to recognize that Malaysia, after X number of years, have reached the stage where we can play with the big boys. And if we say we develop our own guidelines, is that the issue to consider is, are we taking a step backward? So the thing is, maybe we need more enforcement. Maybe we need a watchdog. Maybe we need a ranking system. We need a benchmark to drive standards, to drive understanding. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'm glad your session is over because I cannot take it anymore. It's too scary, and I don't even want to open it to the audience because I know you probably don't know what to ask as well. So let's just thank them and then go back and have a good sleep later and worry about this tomorrow. How about that? So thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Jeffrey Williams and Ms. Phang Oy Cheng from Greenedge Consult, and also Mr. Dr. Jeffrey Williams from Academy of Responsible Management. Thank you, thank you, thank you. For scaring us to take this. Thank you. Oh my God. Right. Who do we have here? A superstar in our midst, ladies and gentlemen. Don't leave your seats. We have Matthias Gilbert, Eco Warriors Malaysia founder and director and GQ Man of the Year. Oh, did I get it? Oh, no, sorry. I'm sorry. Not GQ, actually. It's Man of the Year in Malaysia by Clive magazine. But GQ, maybe next year. So would you come along to the front and educate us?
Don't we have a panel? The panel is